let's go. Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Welcome guys to Geek Society. I'm Nona Prince, joined by Manoj as well as Joshua Dobson. He runs the Insta page called DCTV Center. Do check him out if you don't know about the channel, but great content about DCTV shows and Flash particularly. And he is here with us from the US, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
US based. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about is season 7 the worst season of the Flash? We'll debate about it, but I don't know how much to debate. I think we are on the same page regarding that. But anyways, Josh, I want to start with you. Tell us about something about yourself and how you got into Arrowerse and your favorite shows, your favorite characters.
Yeah. So back in the day, right, there was only, I'd say like 2016 around there was only like Netflix. That was the only big streaming service out. So I wasn't doing streaming service. I was in a rural part of my state where there wasn't a huge internet connection. So my superhero content was network TV. And so the Arrowverse provided that for me. So I was there like every night with the Flash, every night with Legends, every night of Arrow. That was like my little corner. Wasn't even going to the MCU and check out in theaters a ton. Network TV is my stuff. And so around 2018, I was like, I'm going to start posting about it. I'm going to start sharing my thoughts on all of it. Wasn't the best year to do that because that was like the Flash season 5 and Arrow season 6. Yeah, in retrospect, not the best. But, yeah. I've grown a lot. I've changed from just Arrowverse because once all the shows went on hiatus, I'm like, I want to talk about Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn and all that stuff. So I changed the DCTV Center. Don't get as much traction with that, but I have a lot more fun with it, and I've just kind of been there ever since. I'm not trying to be a huge account over there, but I like sharing all my thoughts on these smaller shows and doing what I can, because there's a million people talking about the MCU and the DCEU, but there's not a ton of people talking about Batwoman season 2.
Yeah,
and like I'm there,
Yeah,
understood. Yeah.
Manoj, what about you?
Oh yeah. I was like so into what Joshua was saying, I kind of forgot. I think I got into the Arrowverse right when it began, like way back in 2012, like the first season of Arrow. I think for us, it was telecasted in Star World. It was not even in streaming or anything. It was just it was weekly. We used to watch it, each episode you said on a cliffhanger. We used to wait a week. We used to wait through the break. So that was really special for me because I think Arrow was, probably one of the first shows I saw live, and I watched it all through, for like an entire year, 23 episodes, went through all those weeks. So that's why the Arrowverse, especially Arrow and Flash, when it began, it had a really special place in my heart, just because a lot of my memories of those years attached to those shows in many ways. So that's how I began with Arrowverse. And then I think as years went, I even met Nona through an Arrowverse kind of editing job in YouTube. So that's kind of how I met Nona. So it kind of made it more special, like I met friends because of these shows. So that's kind of been my journey of watching the Arrowverse shows, and I think I followed through Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow in the beginning, and then I kind of fell off Legends of Tomorrow, not because of not because the show was bad or anything. It got to a point where there were too many shows and too much things were going on in my life. So right now I stuck with Arrow throughout the run, and Flash I'm still watching, obviously, and I think Superman and Lois, that's it. Like I've actually kind of fell off from the other shows right now. So that's kind of my current status.
Yeah. I think for me also Arrow was the. I remember watching a promo for Arrow on TV, and I was like, "What is this Robin Hood?" And I never got into started watching and all. But I think my friends got me into Flash, and I started with Flash and I loved it. And then I saw this Arrow crossover. Then like, okay, I have to go back and watch Arrow, and I didn't have any means to watch it, and there was only one way, that is downloading it from the internet. So I like downloaded all the episodes for
Suddenly a sniper headgear. Oh, no,
WB. What are you doing? We recently, like this year, like 2 months back, we finally got officially Arrow shows in India streaming through Amazon Prime. So I think that's a big issue, and still Superman Lois is not streaming in India officially. But yeah, that's how I got into. I finished Arrow up, watching Flash, then weekly, watching the shows. And Flash always, is close to my heart, and it's the only reason I'm still watching it, because I love those characters and the world, and I'm really pissed off, and we'll get into that. But yeah, Legends, I think this season I've not watched, but before that I've seen all the seasons, and it's a fun show. It's an enjoyable show. I think after season 1 they really got, okay, this is what we want to do. And other than that, I loved Arrow. Season 5 was great. Season 6 dipped down, 7 was okay, and then 8 they really did well in the whole Crisis event. And Supergirl I dropped after season 2, I think. And particularly I remember that episode where who was the photographer guy?
Which one?
James Olsen, right?
James Olsen. When he becomes Spartan? Guardian. And I think I just like, no, this is, I'm not watching this anymore. This is like, they literally tried to cover the whole Arrow show, 8 seasons into 2 episodes, and I'm like, no, this is not done. And this was not for me, so I stopped that. Batwoman I never got into, because it never, I'm not a big Batman fan, and that too characters which are related to Bat family, so that never interested me. And I liked the performance in the crossover they did, Elseworlds, but again, like I was hearing not great stuff, and I was already struggling with other shows. So I was not like, I cannot get into one more. And Black Lightning also, Stargirl, I've heard great stuff, but I know, like, I was like, I'm done right now. It's not, you're not giving me enough to, spend more time in all other shows. But definitely I'll binge watch Legends once. I think it's over, right? I don't know. Is the season over?
Still going. It will probably be wrapped up around late or mid fall, and then they're going to do another season in like October.
Yeah.
So they're jumping right back into it. But yeah, no, I can feel the burnt out sometimes. I cannot tell you how many times I've wanted to jump off the Flash just for a couple weeks, but running the account has really kept me on it. And I wouldn't have like checked out Black Lightning if it wasn't for the account. I wouldn't have continued watching Batwoman probably if it wasn't for the account. It's crazy how much the account has really kept me up with the shows. And I feel like a little grateful for it, because I really enjoy the universe once I consistently keep up with it. Through its ups and downs, I have a great time with it.
Yeah. So let's get into season 7 of the Flash. So your overview, like just a brief overview. Like I loved your like commentary throughout when you like type it out for the episodes.
Yeah,
that's
so
really fun.
that was fun. I was watching one of the side episodes. I think it was the Cecile episode, and I'm like, you know what? This episode is not gonna matter. Let me do some notes. Just have fun with it. Did these bullet points. People loved it. Did it for a couple more. It does distract you sometimes when you're writing notes and watching the show at the same time, even though I should do more notes, but I don't. But yeah, people really love those, and it was a lot of fun to do towards the end, especially the finale. But yeah, this season was weird. It was very COVID impacted. We had leftover season 6 bits at the beginning, and then we had 2 separate arcs. So it's kind of like we had the leftover of one arc and then 2 more arcs, which usually a Flash season is just one continuous story. So this one really felt really chopped up. And then especially because of the COVID restrictions, it it didn't work as much as it should have.
Yeah.
But,
True.
And I think Manoj said that in a reaction that they add Cecile's scene in the show so we can take a break.
yeah, they really are pushing for these side characters, and some of them I have a soft spot for Chester. I think Chester's a lot of fun, even though he should just be a Cisco replacement. But some of these, like, I'm like, what is Allegra's point? Why do we need an entire episode dedicated to her? If you're not gonna give her enough character, then don't give her own episode, because she had her own episode and it was just about a different character. It was about Esperanza, not her. So yeah.
True.
Yeah, that was Manoj. I cannot wait. Like, I have to just keep starting to it, but yeah.
I was burned out by the end of season 6. Being very honest, I thought it started amazingly. Like till Crisis, I
Blood
was
work,
like,
yeah.
this is amazing. Like I was like, oh man, Flash is back. Like I got the same vibes when I was watching Arrow season 5. Like when I was like, Arrow is back, man. This is so much better. I got the same because I was like, they actually, whenever there's a team up event, usually the things that come beforehand are not very strong. But they managed to create that crisis event and they use it to their strength to actually make really compelling stories before the crisis actually happened. And that was great. And then I was so excited, and it was a new showrunner. So I thought, okay, now I'm really excited to see what happens next. And then it just completely fell off. Like it just felt like someone else took over, even though that was not the case behind the scenes. It was the same showrunner. For me, the whole mirror thing did not work at all. Like I somehow got through it. So when season 7 started, I think I gave it like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I dropped it. Actually, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm out of this. And then I think a few weeks later, Nona tells me that the 150th episode is coming up. It'll be good maybe if we can react to it, maybe do some YouTube videos. I'm like, all right, I'll get back to it. And again started to write. And I do think binge watching it does make it a little bit more easier. You're like, okay, you can go through. You can be like, oh, okay, you don't have to like. It goes a little bit more quicker than when you're watching it live every week. That's the only sort of upside to this. But man, the season has been so broken up to a point where I think I read this article. I think Nona sent this to me from Eric Wallace, where he was like explaining about how great the season was. Like the and there was even a question given to him that because of the COVID, was there anything you wanted to do differently? Like was it hampered because of that? He was like, no, we did everything we wanted to except like a small story arc. And I'm like, no, that can't be true. Like
Man, Eric Wallace is just living his life that this is the best show on right now. He's like, yeah, we could go for several more seasons or beyond. And all I hear is a resounding no from the fans. I'm like, we need to. What did I do? Are you familiar with Old Yeller? It's this movie about the dog that the kid loves, and then the dog gets rabies, so the kid has to put him down. That's where I am with the Flash. I love the Flash, but like, the Flash has rabies, and the Flash needs to be taken out for another season.
That's a great metaphor, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And he has even said that they're bringing back the same writers and directors of last season. I'm like, no, at least bring some different directors, because the way they're shooting it, it's definitely not working. It's not the same vibes you get in season 1 and season 2, or even season 3. The action looks fake. Everything is not. It's not reaching that level that they can actually reach.
Yeah.
So that's what's disappointing. Yeah, but I'll probably go on a rant against it.
There's all this setup for success too. Like he's structuring it a lot better than what it used to be. Because when you go from Cicada the whole season, which was something else, to just Bloodwork being that little 7-episode thing, Bloodwork was fantastic. And then it just feels like he's even drawing in comic elements with the Forces and Godspeed, but he's not. They're not executed well.
Yeah.
It's like Godspeed should be more than just this guy screaming at me about how he's a god, and this like really cringy villain voice. And the Forces should not be calling each other bro and sis and daddy and mom.
Man.
You are grown adults, man.
That was horrible. That was horrible. Okay, I remember in season 6, one of my I would have that episode in my top 10. Apart from episodes from first 2-3 seasons, is the Temptation of Burial and part 1, the Bloodwork episode. And I think that was so good episode after so long time. And after that, I think what I think the problem started from Crisis when they did that twist thing. Oh, it's not our Flash, it's the Flash from that 90s one, and they kill him off. And like, wait, what? You have been building this for like so many years.
Yeah,
Reverse
I know.
Flashes show up, you don't do that. Okay, I understand maybe, but then doing that, I'm like, what is this? And then now, you don't have that ticking bomb like we were building up to throughout first 4-5 seasons, and then you don't have that, and now it's like, where are we going? And
Yeah.
now you can see there's a issues one after the other. They're just issues and issues. I literally don't know what it's like to be in the writer's room, because
Yeah, I think the thing is, from the first episode of The Flash, I remember sitting down in like 2014, whenever it was first aired, and watching it. They set up that as the end game. He goes Crisis, he disappears, but when he disappears, he goes back in time and causes the events that kick off his journey. And I don't think they ever thought they were going to do a Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't think they ever even dreamed of doing normal crossovers. So they probably were just going to like do something small for the finale. Similar to how how I haven't watched Smallville, but Smallville at the end teases the Superman stuff about full showing Superman. I think they were going to tease Crisis about full showing Crisis. But anyways, they got to the point where they had the opportunity to do Crisis. Arrow was ending. Supergirl was on its way out. Ruby Rose was apparently on its way out. We didn't know at the time. So they're like, we have to do this now. So they did it. And they wrote around the Flash thing so the Flash show could keep going. But it's like, now we don't have anything to build to. Now the end of the show that we all were there for, even like they placed that timeline on like 2023 or whatever, and now they pushed it back a few years. It just ended up creating a scenario where they lost all their momentum. And that's why the pre-Crisis stuff was so great, because we were building towards basically the end game of the show, and then it's cut at its legs by the John Wesley Shipp thing. And I have my own problems of Crisis and my own praises of Crisis, but post-Crisis, they just don't seem to know where they want to go with the show.
Right.
Talking about I love that they started to do this graphic novel approach that will break down the season and all. But I thought maybe COVID can make this show better, because they're first off cut off from making it 18 episodes a season. Over that, the first 3 episodes are carrying on with the last season that they have to complete. So only 15 episodes left. Out of the 15 episodes, there are 3 filler episodes: Cisco, Cecile, and Allegra. Remove that, you have 12 episodes left. Out of 12 episodes, 8 episodes about the Force saga and 4 episodes about Godspeed, and they still couldn't make it a better show. It still doesn't work.
Yeah, people talk about having shorter seasons will really tighten up the story, but I don't think that's always the case. I think if the Flash wanted to do all these filler episodes, they needed more breathing room, and shoving a Godspeed arc into the last 4 episodes. It's like, if you only have 15 episodes left, you might as well just do one story.
True.
Because you don't have enough to build 2 cohesive stories. Each story needs about 8 episodes, and unless you dedicate every episode to that story, you're not going to have enough time. So it was a weird situation. I just don't think they're ever going to admit that this was a rough deal. Eric Walsh is going to be like, yeah, this was great. Loved it.
That's an interesting thing, because Mark Guggenheim, when season 4 of Arrow ended, they never came out and said like, okay, we had a bad season, even though now they do acknowledge that season, like even Stephen Amell I think says that that was a really weak season. But when they went to season 5, you could definitely see that they were like, okay, we're going to ground things. We're going to bring everything back to the street level. We're going to have like Tobias Church.
There's an acknowledgement to the fact that
they were like, okay, we went a little bit too like in a different route in the last season. Let's go back. Let's get that vigilante vibe again going. And that's what I really appreciate. Like, I know Mark Guggenheim gets a lot of crap online and everywhere, people hate on him, but at least it's very honest to himself. He knows that, okay, that season didn't go well, let's do something different. But with Eric Wallace, I don't get that feeling, because I feel like he's like, a lot of the things that he's saying in the interview, I'm like, no, don't do that. The only good thing about that interview was that he said that next season we'll be seeing a more confident Flash. I hope that's true. Like,
I think Unity pointed out in one video I was watching that if you watch the previous season 6 ends and he does an interview, he said the same thing. He said the same thing, that Flash will become a leader, there'll be problem between the marriage, Iris and Barry, and he said literally the same thing, and he just repeated it.
He was like, "Oh yeah, in season 7, Barry's gonna grow into the legend he becomes," and it's like, okay,
Man,
no,
Oh man.
but it's okay, guys. We saw the Flash family, so everything's all good.
You know, do you think the problem is that because Arrow, it affected their rating also? So even the, the producers, they were like, okay, we have to, take that in, we have to count on that and make a better show, because Flash, on the opposite hand, it's getting great viewership. And I think it comes out on Netflix. There's a deal with Netflix. After the show is over, it comes on Netflix, and for weeks it trends in the top 10.
Yeah,
So it's getting that viewership. So I don't know, like, is that what he's backing on, that he's making a good show?
Considering how great the show has performed, I mean, it's not like fantastic numbers, only like a million per episode or whatever. But when you take into account that your year 7 of your show's run, that's where shows start falling off. Sure. And this show is at least only gradually declined. So they're doing a pretty decent job. And then a lot of people talk about it on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube's, and Netflix always does great numbers with it. I think they can really run for a few more seasons, unless Grant or maybe Candace, I don't know how much weight she has. If one of those two is like, yeah, I'm out, then that could signal the end. But I don't think from a ratings perspective or from a performance perspective, we're going to see the show end anytime soon. My hope is that Grant's like, hey, I have a baby. I want to do some other projects, because he got like a Netflix movie lined up. I want out. Yeah, and that's kind of sad to say, but it's what needs to happen.
That's what happened with Arrow, right? Like Stephen Amell.
Right. Stephen Amell wanted to spend more time with his family, be more US based, and pursue other projects. Yeah. And that's what happened. And then he's doing the Heel show right now on Stars. So
he also got that movie going, right? Code 8. Like the sequel to that, something like that.
If I'm not wrong, what I've heard that season 7, the way, if you remember season 7 ending, it felt like the show is getting over. And it was that because after they had done shooting, then they decided and talked to Stephen Amell, and he agreed to do that 10 episodes arc. After that, he was done. That's what I've read about. And then they convinced him, and he came back for 10 episodes.
He wanted to be gone after season 7, but they convinced him for one final run, so they could finish off the story properly and set up a spin-off that never happens. But
that's
stripes. But Grant needs to come forward and say, yeah, I'm done, and that's really the only way the show's gonna end. So wait on anybody.
Have you seen that podcast with I forget his name, Rosenbaum, the guy who plays Lex Luthor, right?
Inside of You.
Yeah, he did with Grant, and Grant, like he said that he lost a lot of opportunities because of the show. And do you think COVID is a big thing? Because even I think other actors have signed on for season 8. Do you think COVID is a reason? Because there's a uncertainty of work. So if they are getting a good payment and they can still work in this time.
Because if you think, like, there was a report, I don't know if it was joking or not, but even Stephen Amell's like, hey, I don't really have anything lined up. It's COVID season. I'm unsure would I work. Arrow season 9, Greg.
That actually happened. He called up someone, right? He called up.
Never ended up happening, but I think that's the reason a lot of them signed, because I was surprised Candace signed, to be honest. She does not seem happy on the show based on her social media and just her general demeanor. I mean, like, she took 3 or 4 episodes off this season in one of the most important arcs for her character, just for like a mental health break. Or I think she might have been actually sick, but something along those lines.
I've heard that she left. I think before we knew that she had left because she was feeling homesick, but I heard that she just left without telling anyone, and then they had to do something to that Barry's just talking on the phone and calling her, and she's not even replying. All that happened because of it.
They couldn't shift it to Cecile.
That was the most bizarre episode.
But what do you think? How much can we blame COVID for this season, or is it a valid argument?
I think you can blame the first. I don't know how you guys feel about the first part of the wrap up to season 6, where that feels a little underwhelming. The power of love and all that. You can blame that completely to COVID. They probably had better plans, but they're like, hey, we have to scrap these huge fight sequences because that was really early on when they were filming that. So they only could do small scale stuff. I don't think Barry and Iris could even like touch each other that much around then. But season 7, they wrote during the pandemic. They delayed the season, so they had plenty of time to write the scripts, realize, hey, we're in a COVID season. Here's what we can do with the show. And it doesn't seem like they really followed it to the T. So I don't know. Like, don't do the Forces arc with these giant, like, godlike beings if you're doing a COVID season.
Sure.
Now is the season to do a small scale thing like Prometheus. I don't know what villain I would use, maybe the Rogues or something, but not the villains they chose. So I would blame them more than COVID for season 7. But the end of season 6 / the beginning of season 7, they get a pass for.
They would
For me,
have
I'm
played smart, yeah.
I'm entirely blaming on them, not on COVID. I feel I get what Josh is saying, like, and I do agree to a certain extent, but just looking at their inability to write this season properly, like, even I just feel like, see, now they did have some, like, Ralph couldn't, like, they itself brought that upon themselves by firing the actor and not, like, really acknowledging his apology and stuff like that. I'm not really going to get into that, but just like, so Superman and Lois was also shot in the COVID time, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was a much more high production value show. Maybe they have a better budget. Maybe they have, like, more leeway. Maybe.
And even they
Why should
changed
they-
their whole story because of COVID. Yeah.
True.
Right.
But I feel like they managed to sort of adapt and do a much better job. Like, because if you think about it, season 1 of The Flash, the finale, or even the second last episode, the fight scenes were all pretty constrained to Star Labs. If you think about the finale, like the finale, everything took place inside Star Labs. It was just the last thing that, it relied more on emotions that they built throughout the season. And I feel like this season they didn't have any of that, and that's why they had to rely on big fight sequence. But they didn't have that also, so they had to rely on Star Wars, like lightsabers. Like,
Right.
I just can't give them a pass this time around. Like, I used to, like, I see, even when we were reacting to it, we were, like, joking around, just having fun with it, and just being like, okay, Steve, we've watched this for, like, many years, we know what's going to happen. But when you just stop and think about this, you're like, man, you can't really excuse them for that. That was pretty lame, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when I'm covering the other shows. Right, Superman and Lois is a way higher production thing. They had plans for that. So, I mean, maybe it's not most apt comparison. Batwoman has their main star drop out. They introduced an entirely new lead actress and character and have to do a season in COVID. And yet they still made a 5 times more competent season than whatever I got with The Flash. You
That's
know?
pretty interesting.
And Batwoman will get just as much slack. And so right there, I'm like, yeah, you guys had the opportunity. You just don't have the right set of writers and the right showrunner.
Yeah.
Very true.
And talking about the other shows, do you think that plays a big part? Because when this show came out, I was watching this video and this guy, was like covering the whole season 1, season 2, and why the show is so dumb and all. And I was going through and like, okay, man, these things are, you're watching a movie. You have to have suspension of disbelief. It's okay, Barry didn't run after that guy and he was this. And these are very, nitpicking. And I'm okay with that because the story works for me. But, like I was watching it, I was like realizing, okay, man, this is not the greatest thing as a show. It was never. But it was a really fun and entertaining show. But over the years, and we didn't have anything else to watch, right? And neither for MCU, DCU, nothing like that, right? We only have these shows weekly used to watch and look forward to. And today we have Superman and Lois. We have so many Arrowerse shows. We have now MCU shows, and there's so much, and we are all home and watching all this stuff. Do you think that has made it difficult for the Flash now?
Yeah, because the early days of the Flash, we were just amazed that they made a Flash show. It felt like such a big screen character. So the fact that they did it with powers like pretty much every episode, not like got rid. Nowadays they write off his powers for like multiple episodes at a time. But anyways, yeah, it was fascinating back then but now there's like such an oversaturation. We're even getting a bunch of shows that deconstruct the superhero genre of The Boys and Invincible and all that. It can feel very easy to get burnt out, especially when I'm getting like Loki and I'm getting WandaVision that are trying something different, and the Flash is just running around in circles, no pun intended. It's yeah. So I definitely think that all these shows coming in and really stealing spotlight from the Arrowverse, even within the own Arrowverse with Superman and Lois, really affects it.
But I think, look, I would agree to it to a certain extent, but see, it's not that this show doesn't even work as a superhero show right now. Like, if you look at season 1 and like season 2, it's like, sure, there were no shows in that kind of scale that time. I think we had some of the Netflix shows going on that time, like Daredevil, Luke
Yeah.
Cage, and stuff like that.
Right.
But there was nothing with, like, Flash represented that kind of impossible scales that you could go for a TV show. You didn't imagine such things going, but that only worked because they got the emotions right. There was an emotion between Barry and his dad. There was emotion between Barry and Joe. Like, you had all, even between the Reverse Flash and Barry, that enmity that was building between them, the rivalry between them. All of that was built so well that, you were like, this actually works. But right now,
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that emotions attached to it. So, see, if this show was giving me even half of what it was giving me in season 1 in terms of the emotion, in terms of, like, the sort of the how do I say, the impact that season 1 was giving me, I would still stick to it. Even with all other shows going on right now. Like, I really loved Loki. I really liked WandaVision. I had, like, and even like Falcon and Winter Soldier to a certain extent. But in spite of all those shows, I would still, like, watch Flash with a lot of positivity. But right now I'm being negative. It's not because there are so many shows, but it's just because this doesn't work. And and you would say, like, why do you still watch it? But I'm like, look, I've invested so many years. I really like the character. I really like the previous seasons. That's why I'm still watching. And there's the small hope that they
Yeah.
might come back. So that's the whole thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because it was hokey back in the day. It wasn't perfect, but
True.
there was emotions, man. I think I don't know, I was 11 or 12. I was crying when Cisco died in that one episode. I mean, it was
Oh,
a fake
man.
out, but
Yeah, absolutely.
emotions were there. That finale with Barry and his mom, dude, that tears up everyone
Yeah.
when you first watch.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing there. The power of love just doesn't do it for me. Cisco's exit, while fun, doesn't have that emotional impact that it should.
Yeah.
Even Nash Wells dying in the beginning, it felt more like a plot device than an actual character send off for this guy that's been on the show since season 1.
Yeah.
I agree.
It was like,
Unfortunate.
it's like we are done, you are so late in, departuring Wells that we are done. We don't even care at that moment.
Wells leaves every season, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the end.
Yeah. After HR's exit, I'm like, all right, I'm done with the emotions,
True.
And then Harry exited in season 4, and it was kind of goofy. I don't know. Wells was drawn out at that point, and I was getting attached to Nash, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna kill him off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, there was this dialogue, right, with Godspeed, that Flash, you are all about the impossible, right? And it hit me hard, man. Wow, this dialogue is like, it's a really good dialogue, and I'm hearing it after so long that Barry, you are always
Like,
about
who wrote
impossible.
this?
And
Who
we have,
wrote this?
he's always crying, oh my God, I cannot let people die. I cannot do this. Oh my God, what will happen? And Cecile is giving him hope. Like, no, Barry, it's all right. You can do this. I'm like, no, this is not how this works. It's like,
Yeah.
there's a
Barry
lack
is
of effort.
Fun as a character.
It's not that
agree.
they are trying something and it is not working for us. It's that one thing. Okay, they tried something, but some people like it, but we don't like it. It's not that. It's the lack of effort. I don't see them putting or investing time into it and making it better. And some of the dialogues, man, like, this is lackluster.
You can see the effort isn't really there, because they write in impulse and excess, right? Because they want the Flash family. It's going to bring in viewers, and they're like, hey, we can't really come back and do much because we're going to break the timeline. And Barry, who has gone on multiple rants about how much he's messed up the timeline, how he's done time traveling, even saying it's like a risk to go to 2049. He's like, yeah, you know what? I don't care about what rules I have. You guys just tell me what's going on and we'll fix it. I'm like, Barry, bro, you just don't care at this point, man. It's
True.
it just feels emblematic of the writers just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. And I think the whole dialogue that, he says, what about Reverse Flash? And like, that's our future version's problem. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
It made me laugh. That was so funny. There's a criminal on the loose, and he's like, yeah, we'll deal with it later.
I think there was one more then at the start of, I think, the finale episode, then Nora is like, what will happen? We'll lose. There are millions of families out there. And Barry's like, what about our family? Like, what? Are you kidding me?
It's crazy, man.
Man.
Yeah. it's kind of like Legends to me, because Legends
Yeah.
is fun with it because they're not great at being heroes, but they're like self-acknowledging it. Barry's just not great at being a hero, but he doesn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
True.
He's just going forward and not caring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think what Manoj said, right, the whole hero stuff, it's missing. I don't feel inspiration or, that, oh my God, I'm watching someone, he inspires me to do good. No, it feels so, it's now neither, even before in season 1, season 2, the sci-fi thing was okay, I understand. Nowadays, this particle accelerator, this and science stuff, and they just, talk about it and like, yeah, done. Like, over. There was a dialogue, I think, when I think it was in Enemy at the Gates, when remember, Manoj?
Oh,
It's like Chester is like, okay, this will take me a long time. I don't think I can do this. And Barry's like, no, you have to do it. But it's very possible. It will take me 5 minutes. And Barry's like, no, take 4 minutes. What difference? What is this writing?
Yeah, it's rough, man. They just kind of they're doing whatever. I remember the funniest thing was, I don't know if you guys watched the Snyder Cut. I'm assuming you did.
Yeah.
Snyder thing. So the week that comes out in the Snyder Cut, Flash is like, what am I gonna do? Defeat him with the power of love? And then the same week, the Flash is holding hands with Mirror Master. And I'm like, man,
Oh, man.
funniest man. This season, yeah. The device at the end, it was kind of rough. It was weird with that C device because Barry overcharges it and then it doesn't work. And then in the finale, Allegra overcharges it, but then that makes it work. And I'm like, okay, all right, sure.
But I think they had set that up, though. I think they had said that Allegra's charge won't break it or something. But yeah,
that was like the something. Okay, this is, I don't mind.
Yeah.
This is okay. There's some bigger issues than that. But let's go to the chat. I think a lot of people are and Barry Allen is in the chat. And he's calling me a hater. Dude, come on. Your show is not good. What can I do?
Yeah, sorry for hating on your show, bro. It's not you. It is.
Barry, why didn't you comment on our last reaction? You didn't comment.
Yeah,
right?
I was missing. I think he did on the Superman and Lois one. And he was like, Nona always, hates and all. All right. In case of DC animated movies and live action movies are good at adaptation in DCU, I meant that Snyderverse. I'm not interested in TV shows. Even Loki lost its momentum. Okay. TV shows are currently for time pass. Even it's good for watching. Still, currently Hollywood is woke. I don't get your comment. Earlier, since Arrow season 1, there was not much competition. Smallville left a void, which was filled by Arrow. But there was no competition in the genre and quality was good. I would agree to that.
Yeah.
Vikas says, but there is so much competition in this genre. Every streaming service has this staple superhero show. Yes, man.
Agree.
I think Amazon only is, having 2-3 now Invincible, Boys. They are only coming up with all these things.
The Boys spin-off, they're doing more and more every day. It's crazy. The Arrowverse to me, even though I still acknowledge that there's some merit to it post-crisis, there's some stuff I like. Again, I'm a huge advocate for Black Lightning. I'm a huge advocate for Batwoman. But the Arrowverse feels like the one that started it all, but he just kind of never left and he's sticking around and it's like you're getting kind of up there, bro. And he's hanging out with all the cool young kids and trying to be hip still, but it's just they're not on the same level anymore, and it's unfortunate because Arrowverse is what brought most of us into the genre.
Yeah,
arguably.
Yeah,
true.
But do you think with this HBO Max kind of a co-sharing with the CW and the shows much better, less episodes, do you think that's the future?
I'm curious to see where it goes because I haven't really heard any concrete plans of, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I've heard that like it's got some stuff with Superman and Lois, and I think Stargirl might be funded in the same way. But for the most part, I haven't really heard that like, hey, the Flash is switching over to our 16:9 aspect ratio, getting a production update. So I don't know what the future of it is, but I think it'd really help. I think if you dropped the thing on the CW network and then the next day it was on HBO Max, you'd get a lot more people into it, especially if you bump up production and get some writers in there. And don't worry about putting out shows every single year. Space them out of it. Like you don't have to cram 5 shows into 1 week. People don't need all that.
Yeah.
They can have 2 or 3 Arrowverse shows on at once.
Agree.
Yeah. I think due to COVID also they spread their shows around the year, so it's I think more easy to catch up on all of them instead of watching one every week.
Mhm.
Vikas says Legends is far better show compared to this season just because a single reason that it's always entertaining. Yeah, I would agree to that.
Agreed.
Oh yeah,
It's like
Legends doesn't have
absurd,
a great season.
outlandish, but it's so fun.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like DC's Guardians of the Galaxy kind of a vibe. You know, like
Legends had a problem with season 4 when they first did the magic stuff. I don't know if you guys were on for that one. That was
Yeah.
a rough season.
I've
They've
seen
since
that, yeah.
bounced back a
Yeah.
lot.
This
And
is
they're
season
really in full swing. They're in
Season
season
six.
6 right now.
when Sarah gets abducted. Which season was that? At the end of this season.
This is season 6 right now.
Okay.
She just got rescued from that, and then now she's revealed to be like part alien. Because
Yeah.
aliens and clone, it's a lot. It's a lot to catch up on.
I think I remember till season 3. I don't remember after that. I loved season 2 though. Season 2 was great.
Season 2 was so fun.
Oh yeah.
I think bringing back all the
Reverse
villains
Smash.
and
Yeah, that was great, man. That was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Abert Thorn Return is sick. Let's talk about also would it be awesome if Justice League crossover in Crisis on Infinite Earths along with Christian Bale's Batman? Too much hope, buddy. Too much hope, Kevin.
I don't know if Christian Bale's Batman would fit with that.
I think they were trying to get
Michael Keaton, right?
Michael Keaton for Crisis, but that didn't work out, and I think that's how WB got the idea of getting him for the Flash movie.
Maybe, yeah.
So
steal all the ideas.
Yeah, let's get to some interesting stuff in the writing, which I felt was the whole Iris PTSD thing. I think that was something interesting, and I was looking forward to it. And I was like, okay, this is what Eric Wallace was talking about, that marriage will be affected. But even that, they just in an episode, I think I was talking to Manoj only that they spend on time on that, and she's there's a like even Barry is feeling very guilty that and it's something if in real life can break a relationship, that trust goes missing. So I was like, okay, nice that they're exploring that, and then done, over,
Just
bye
vanished,
bye,
right?
yeah.
yeah, the thing about Iris is that, like, for most people that dropped off around like season 4 or whatever, they're like, yeah, Iris ruins the show. We Are the Flash is stupid.
Yeah.
Run Iris, run is stupid. You get to Iris now, she's not even like barely a part of the show. So you can't even blame her for the show. And she's not a bad character. Once she got back into doing the Central City Citizen instead of being Team Flash leader, whatever it was, got a ton better. They just don't give her enough. She's barely at the Citizen this season. She doesn't get that PTSD storyline that she needed. She's barely interacting with Barry. And then she has this weird like time displacement thing towards the end. They're not doing anything interesting of Iris besides her just being Barry's wife. And they need to really double down on her journalistic stuff.
And then making her also a speedster, doesn't really help.
Weirdly, that feels natural to the show's evolution.
Even I think Felicity got into something, right?
No, I think she was mostly the hacker, right? Like she joined some.
I think some episodes she would also go with Arrow, and and she was like, no, I can do it myself. And I think this season 4 or 5 something.
Season 5, I think. Season 4 and season 5, I think they were working together, but they were not like in a relationship. And then she was joining this hacker group and stuff like that.
I remember that meme when she was on a wheelchair, and Arrow did Oliver did something for her, and then they added that chip, and she could finally walk. And and he's like, now I'll propose you or something, but there was a meme that she gets up and walks away.
Yeah, she did. Oh,
yeah,
season 4 was the worst.
And you can see all the season 4 mistakes in this Flash now. Unnecessary characters. You're spending so much time on tertiary characters, backstory and everything, which I don't care.
Uninteresting.
Yeah, and which has no relation to the main plot or main characters.
Yeah, like what was the Kristen Kramer Joe storyline? What relevance was that besides the surprise speedster twist, which was out of nowhere, no setup, really dumb. I don't know. It felt like we sidelined Joe, who could have had an interesting storyline just to have introduced this Kramer character that no one cares about.
And no one cared
Yes.
about Joe also.
Oh my God.
They need to let
Throughout-
Jesse go, man. He needs better work than this, man. He does not seem like he cares, and
Yeah.
he's not doing anything. He's not even the police chief anymore. Give Jesse on like one of those Law and Order shows. Like he needs something better than this right now.
True. Agreed.
And the whole
Yeah.
last 4 episodes, I think, from where Godspeed arc started and he goes with Kristen Kramer. They're like 2 days. There's no contact with Joe, and I think they start the episode. She's still like, I cannot find Joe. He's not answering and all. And until the finale, there's no talk about Joe, and we are always like, what happened to Joe? And like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I guess they're just still in the mode from that one season where he like had that back injury and they just exited for half.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, he does that from time to time. The real question is, where's Joe's kid?
Oh
Like,
my
ever.
God. I had no idea.
They introduced Joe's kid and then like she's just gone. She wasn't even at the wedding at the end of the season.
That I can still forgive them for because of the COVID.
Right.
At least with a line, right? Like we have a sister.
I think
like a sister.
they made Cecile have powers just because of the kid, right? Like when she was pregnant, she got powers, and then she always had powers now, and she can do anything, anytime.
Well, yeah, they made her have powers for a plot device for Team Flash, because she can just do whatever. Her and Allegra, their powers combined are so undefined. It's fascinating to me.
True.
Just what they can do on a week-to-week basis. Cecile is all over the place, and Daniel Nicolay is fine, but it's fascinating to see where she's gone from season 4 to like reading emotions to now she's like hacking people's minds, and she's basically the new thinker.
Yeah.
And Allegra's even worse. It went from ultraviolet power to like
She became Captain Marvel in like that episode.
she like charges things now.
Yeah.
And time can like teleport with smoke bombs. And
That I never got that, man. What's up with that smoke bomb and all? It never. You are at a time like you start to question these things because you never because you were so invested in the show. Okay, I don't mind whatever it is, what science, whatever. But now it's like the writing is so bad. I'm like, what is this? How? And it's like no logic at all. It doesn't work.
It's like they're trying to get it cancelled. They're like, what can we do?
Yeah, it reminds me of Riverdale. Riverdale's a guilty pleasure. I know it's bad for me, but I still watch it because it's hilarious to me where they go with it. But Riverdale can throw literally anything at the screen. They're doing Aliens right now, I think, on Riverdale, the small town show. But they still get the viewership. And the Flash is the same way. They're like, guys, we can do literally anything, and we're still averaging 1 million views. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's do time traveling Earth 1 original Wells that can just green mist himself wherever he wants. Yeah.
Very convenient.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that in the end of Arrow season 4, right? Sure, the writing was bad and everything, but like, see, 2 good things that Arrow kind of did, or one just happened instantly. A lot of the cast left. Like the actress who played Thea, she kind of wanted limited episodes. Like, so the team Arrow kind of shrunk down to just like in the end it was literally just Barry and Oliver and Felicity. Diggle had gone to prison, something like that. So,
but then, like in season 5, they got like 4 more.
They got a new sort of this thing, but because they didn't have much baggage within them, and because they put a lot of focus on Oliver, it worked, and that was a nice new direction for the show. For Flash, after season 3, the focus has not been on Barry in that extent where you actually are exploring his character in a way. And I think that has really sort of ruined the show in many ways, that they're not exploring the Flash. Like, look at his career. Look at Barry's career, right? If you look at Oliver, like he was first a CEO and then he got broke and then he ran for mayor. He became mayor. Then he was outed as the Green Arrow in the public. Like, he went through so much progression that it kept the show interesting. You were like, okay, there's something new this season. There's something new this season. Barry has not had any evolution in terms of his profession. Like, in fact, he's got worse. Like, in the first episode, he was like CSI. He had the Sherlock Holmes thing going on in the pilot episode. Now there's nothing. Like in season 7, they tried to do a little bit more with that, but nothing. Like, he has literally gone in a straight line, his career.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about keeping the cast around. I bet you guys that if I didn't mention this right now, which I am, you would not have mentioned Caitlin this whole review.
True.
as a character. You would have mentioned Frost, but you would not have mentioned Caitlin
Chill,
because
Blaine.
literally standing there doing medical stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
She hasn't had a single emotion the whole season, and I'm like, why? Why is she still here? Why is Frost still here? Why is Joe still here? Why is Cisco still here? Why is pretty much the entire cast outside of Barry and Iris had run their course? And it sucks to see Carlos Valdez leave, and it sucks to see Tom Cavanaugh leave. But it's like, get out while you can. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They've introduced how many wells just to keep Kavanaugh around?
True.
Because they had no natural way to keep him around.
Yeah.
Remember Firestorm? Remember Ronnie? Remember that? Caitlin?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
silent
Caitlyn,
story?
I think they added that sister thing and they distributed like Killer Frost and they're two different people, and that whole episode with State versus Killer Frost, that was so bad. That was illogical. That made no sense, you know. And I think a lot of people are pointing it out with comparing it to the actor Hartley Swear's firing, and how the show is showing the double standard and talking about forgiving people and then you know, in real life just firing people. So that's really like that's a separate thing, you know. But in the show, like are they even, you know, talking to people like, I've written this, can you check, does it make sense, you know, is there any communication happening behind the scenes?
Yeah. One quick before I forget, I'll get into the Ralph situation. I'll just go for it. But yeah, I think separating Frost and Caitlin's, my final thought on it, was the worst decision for Caitlin's character, because that completely killed her point outside of her being a medical thing, and she hasn't got any development since season 3. But you know, that's another story. As for Ralph, was his presence missed? I don't know. We had Cisco, we had Chester, so the comedy relief was there. I don't think we needed stretch powers that much. So I don't know, but yeah, it's weird that these people, they don't do background checks, and then you get into a situation where they've signed up long term for a show, and we're in this awkward situation. Yeah, and I wish and I've seen other stuff for members like Candace and other members who have had behind the scenes trouble, and it's like, guys, why don't we just look before we hire people?
Yeah, like ensure it's clean, right? Even if something is there, you can like it's better to take precautions than you know, just going into it.
I think it's more about the performance of the actor as Ralph, which was I think was refreshing, because he played it. He was in that gray area always. He was not the biggest hero, but I think that was an interesting dynamic added to the story, where it was just always about good versus evil. But it's not that I missed him. Like, the show is so bad that you don't miss anything.
I just found it weird that they wrote him off. I think with his stretch powers, they could have reintroduced someone new to play the character.
Yeah.
Recasting him.
I think there was a simple thing that he transformed like someone else, but then he's unable to go back, like something like that.
Yeah, that's what everyone was theorizing. And then ends up being the Daft Punk robot helmet or whatever. It was. But the thing is, they were setting up so much for him with Sue and all that, and then it's another thing that just gets cut. And
do you think it's because they will maybe get him back?
I don't think they have plans to bring him back, just because they don't want any reminder of Harley Sawyer on the show, and just the awkward situation that it was.
Yeah,
especially because the showrunner even like spoke against him, right?
Right.
Like, publicly, he even said that, you know.
They put out that statement, right? I think all the cast members shared it, and you know, as one statement from everyone.
Yeah, I don't think he was super beloved either, because you look at James Gunn, his situation, all the cast of Guardians immediately came out, and Harley, they're like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna step back a minute. So I don't really think he was the best behind the scenes either.
Maybe
that's not there.
Okay.
True. I just want to say one thing about Killer Frost, because we spoke about it. Like, for me, the best version of Killer Frost was the one we saw in Earth 2.
The
like,
evil version, right?
Yeah, the evil. That for me, like you know what they did with Black Siren, like in Arrow, I would have preferred that. You know, completely new character from a different Earth that's just stuck here. If they wanted to do a Killer Frost thing, instead of doing this whole split thing and whatever nonsense, it's maybe the Hulk, but it's not the Hulk. Now they're split. Like, instead of all that, I would have preferred if they just went the easy road. It's a Killer Frost, it's a Caitlin from a different world, and just use that. It would have been much more better than what they did actually.
Yeah, they wrote themselves into a corner by having a villain be part of your main cast. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen later on when she became Killer Frost? Do you think that they wrote the Killer Frost storyline. They're like, but wait, she's a member of the team. We can't write her off. And so now we're in this awkward situation where Killer Frost is a hero instead of a Flash villain. It could have been a lot more compelling if she fell to the dark side and was a recurring threat or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe the intention. Like, I think they were trying to get Firestorm to go against her, maybe like at least in season 1 when they introduced the character.
Remember they set up that whole thing that even the dad dies and then they do a test that the mother is also that, but it's not. But later they show that the test was positive. First of all, what kind of scientists are these that they don't wait for the thing to happen and just throw it off? Oh, it's okay. And then they never brought that back. I think it's better. We don't need more Killer Frost. But I felt, I remember again, telling Manoj that maybe I think they split her up so they make her evil. And they did the total opposite, and which I hated. That whole, will take her. And then she's out of the prison like parole and like she's just normal, everything's fine. And
the best thing which happened in the end of that episode was the fact that she was like, no, I did wrong things. I did crimes. I went against the law. I deserve punishment. And she herself said that, I'm going to go to prison. I'm going to stay in prison. But then after 2 weeks, she was out. She was just chilling. I'm like, what?
Yeah, she's like, guys, I can't believe it. During this massive fight in the city, they held a parole hearing for me and they just let me go. I'm like, man, you were the one that said you needed to properly pay for your crimes, but you didn't. You didn't.
And Wallace says that everything went according to plan. Like,
oh man,
yeah. And then they introduced Joe Blaine character, and that's not fun.
The best character ever.
And he just disappeared in the end. Like,
yeah, I don't know. He's our main villain for season 8 because that's the only thing they set up for next season.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I want to talk about that whole. I think there was a plot that I was like interested to how they tackle. The whole that meta-human thing that we should give them cure and like I feel the show lacks groundedness. It's a Flash show, it's sci-fi, future, traveling, time travel, everything. But I think they need this groundedness, which was Kramer, bringing in that, I want an opposition to Flash, which is not a villain. I want people who suffered because of metahumans. In the first episode of the show, Joe kills the first metahuman because, he's the guy who can create Storm. He shot him dead. That's how grounded the show was in that time. And I think with this plot line that, should metahumans be given cured and, because they are evil people and all of that, that was such an interesting concept. And that could have, tied into Team Citizen, doing journalism to, or maybe there'll be a big vote by the public. Should it happen or should it not happen? And the Flash's hero should be in question. Is he doing the good job or not? And I think Godspeed could have come in. I think in comics, Godspeed is like a second Flash kind of thing, right? Like he competes with Flash. Like I can do a better job than Flash. Yeah, so they could have explored so much, Maybe the thing is not defeat that Godspeed doesn't need speed. He's saying that I'm a better hero than Flash. I can get the maybe like a Punisher and the Daredevil thing, right? Not in that dark sense, but
true. No, that's exactly how it's in the comics. And you raised a very good point about the metahuman cure and all. Like, and if Barry was like, I think, isn't Barry supposed to be like the director-in-chief of the police department, something like that in the future?
Yeah.
Something like that. So if he actually was in that kind of a position where, he has to deal with this also, the law and order, and he actually has to be that and the Flash, and he has this whole metahuman cure thing happening, it would have added a lot more tension, a lot more drama to the show. But because they never explored that side of Barry, you can't have that kind of conflicts happening in the show.
Yeah, they could have done a really long form take on the Civil War discussion of what are these heroes actually doing to the regular people. And they were trying to kind of do that for season 5, but I think the metahuman cure was mostly they just wrote it in because I think Carlos Valdez wanted to leave and they wanted to shoot him with a thing and let him go, but then he came back. But that's a behind the scenes thing. Yeah, they could have done a lot more. I think wasn't Arrow, didn't he hang up the cape at like season 6 and Diggle took over because Oliver was dealing with the repercussions of his actions?
Yeah.
Barry could do a similar thing on a lighter scale, of course, because he wasn't flat out murdering people 24/7, but
True, true.
They should recognize their privilege as the whole team of being these metahuman, godlike characters that just
Yeah.
control the city and decide who gets redemption and who doesn't. They do, right? They decide which villain gets redeemed and which villain gets sent to Iron Heights.
Yeah.
Which villain they lock in a freaking those cells
Chamber,
in
yeah.
the Star Labs. That would be such a scary fate. Can you imagine people just down there for years?
Yeah.
Like what, man? So I don't know. They could do something really compelling with it, but I don't think they will, because that would have to admit that Barry isn't the perfect hero. I don't
Yeah.
think they could do that.
Yeah, I think where they went wrong was, first of all, doing Flashpoint and all these big events of the Flash comics so fast. They should have done a Flashpoint like season 2 or season 3 or 4, and they had a great opportunity to reset the whole world. I think maybe because they are connected to the other Arrowverse shows, maybe that's the reason. But even for the actors, right now, play a different character, of your, what you have been playing. And refresh the show.
Should have been a crossover event.
Yeah.
Flashpoint, to be honest.
100%.
They really wasted that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should not have been one episode to introduce your
Oh,
season, man.
One of my favorite, I still get goosebumps. I always kind of after so many days, I'll always watch that video. My favorite scene is from season 3, episode 1, where first time we see that Barry has put Reverse Flash in the cage, and Barry's leaving, and it's a very drastic camera moment, and Reverse Flash in the cage and shouting, "Now who's the villain, Flash? Now who's the villain?" And every time it gives me goosebumps. And then at the end, he just takes him, now I'm the hero, Flash, and he takes all that stuff. It was.
Man, bring back
Flash was so good as Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
I loved him way more than Tom Cavanaugh, mostly because of how good he was on Legends too, when he came to Legion of Doom. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Everyone always asks for him back, and they're just like, well, but we have Tom Cavanaugh right here. And
I think it's a logistical thing that they have this actor already and let him only play it, and and I think the actor said that I want to come back as a Reverse Flash, but I've never got a call. So
yeah, I think it's just they up till this season they had him as a series regular. He was always around on set.
Yeah,
that's easier than flying out Lesher for however long, or even especially now.
Yeah,
I don't even blame him for the finale one, because he would have had to quarantine for 2 weeks and then figure out how to bring him back in just for a small bit role. Yeah.
Even the actor who played Wally couldn't do it, because of that.
Yeah, that's why they didn't bring Wally back, because he was busy working on another show, but he was open to it as well. So I don't really blame him for that side of things. When people are like, well, why didn't they bring this character back for the finale? Well, I'm like, Canada's not doing fantastic with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's right. But back in season 5 or whatever, with the Nora stuff, it's like, you could have brought Matt back.
True.
Yeah. Let's go from chats. A lot of questions in the chat, and Christian Kramer is just a mimic. She can replicate. Yeah, they talked about that later. There's so many issues in writing this season. Why would you trust someone like August Hart to hold his end to bargain once he receives what he requires? Why would you bring Eobard out of? That bringing, they never set up anything regarding, there was an episode, right, that Reverse Flash goes off like an energy negative speed force, and never ever they talk about it, and suddenly out of nowhere, Reverse Flash, we brought you back, so you have to listen to us. Like, what? What is this logic?
The way they bring him, they exit him in season 6, he's like a freaking cloud. And they're like, we don't know what face he'll be wearing next. So they really set up where they can do anything with it. And then all of a sudden, he's just back to what he was before with the same Tom face. I'm like, I thought the exorcism of Nash Wells was to kind of get rid of that version of Fawn and move on. But, he was the only guy that could stop Godspeed, because our team of 5 speedsters couldn't do it.
That made no sense. And I think even they said that, right? Reverse Flash was supposed to be a part of Mirrorverse arc, that they get Reverse Flash to defeat her. That was the original idea, and then they wrote him out and brought him at the end of this. But still, it came out of nowhere.
That's what I remember. I remember hearing that the end of season 6 was going to be a Reverse Flash tease. So that very well could have been what happened. And then they had to write in the power of love ending instead.
I'm just imagining Reverse Flash holding his lightsaber and like thrashing Mirrorverse, like Mirror Mistress, like
Oh man,
It would have
yeah,
been cool if they set it up, but they didn't set it up. And they just feel like they're making up speedster powers at the Flash scene, the family scene where they're all doing different lightning things. That's fun, but like how? I don't get how Jay is infusing his like hat with lightning and chucking it like a Captain America shield. They just don't seem to be in the basis for logic. So fan service, when it's not grounded or makes any sense, is just kind of whatever. You
yeah.
can do Endgame and have it be somewhat logical, but when you do it here, it just doesn't feel like you're doing it other than just for the sake of doing it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Next they will have the next villain as Joe West doppelganger wearing a flash suit. In previous episodes, Frost and Children were fighting Godspeed hand to hand. How they are speedster, not those metas who doesn't have that speed up battling. Yes, man, that's so inconsistent throughout. Like even that the J thing, right? Like why are suddenly all of them standing? And if Speed Force Nora could just do this like Thanos and get rid of all the Godspeed, like where were you till now?
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna play devil's advocate for the Frost and Chillblaine stuff, I mean they set up in season 1 that like Cold slows the Flash down of Captain Cold, but the thing was they weren't doing their cold powers; they were just doing their fists. So it's like you could have just had them freeze the Godspeed people and it would have worked.
Or just put some mist around their punches, right? Like
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
We just need people that watch the show to write the show. That's it.
I remember, I think it was episode 2, right? Like Barry thinking, right? What was the episode name?
The Speed of Thought.
Yeah, Speed of Thought. I think in that Killer Frost injects velocity 9. And that whole sequence, and I think Manoj told me like that was so cool. Let's see what they do. And like, no, this is just once. This is just for fan service. They're never bringing it back.
Yeah, I don't think that would even work because her cold powers and her speed wouldn't even mesh together. That's another thing. It's just fan service, and then everyone gets on me for not liking that episode. But I'm like, you just liked seeing Frost run around.
Yeah, I saw that. And people was like, that was one of the best. And I think personally, I feel that was a better episode just because the central character was Barry. And him being the Flash, he could, because he's so fast, he's thinking and he's taking the decisions. That's the best Flash I've seen till now. But yes, I think the stuff around him doesn't really work well.
No, they had to make him Sheldon from Big Bang Theory towards the end.
What a crossover, man! That Sheldon used to become Flash. Full circle.
I guess I could ask what you guys' favorite and least favorite episodes are. Since we're at that point. I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, let's just finish the chat once.
Yeah, finish the chat. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's gonna take a long time to think about favorite.
This season, okay.
This season, yeah.
What job, work to earn money was Barry doing in season 7? Man, I've stopped asking those questions at this point.
No, they have said that because he's the owner of Star Labs, and I think Star Labs has some shares.
What?
They never explained it. Dude,
the shares, the company has shares who's doing something.
They're like, I don't
buying Star Labs stock and not knowing what the company even does.
A YouTuber kind of just said that, like he tried to like figure this out. Like, how could he just be chilling around? And so they were like, okay, maybe the Reverse Flash, the in season 1, like he left him a ton of money or something like that. So that's how Barry's able to like chill and stuff.
And what about other people like who are working in Star Labs? How it's all done? How is the electricity paid? Like the whole building is run on that.
It's all about family. So everyone who's part of the team.
It's such a big place. Oh man. Yeah, and then like didn't they cut to him being a CSI in like episode 8 or something? It's like, okay, well, where are you? What are you doing, man? You have this full-time job and you just show up whenever. I bet all the people at his work are like, oh, Barry's here once. We'll see him in a couple months.
Oh man, I really miss the dynamic of the double life. I think that's very important in superhero shows. Like to get like especially for like the Flash, Superman.
To see the sacrifices you're making to be a Flash, right?
True.
It's all like you're not giving times to Iris. That's how you make a marriage, not work. Not by having mirror mistress out of nowhere and Okay. He was being awesome cause it earns a lot of money. Okay. He still has the same job as he had in season 1. Just we need some more flash side story, but we don't his regular life like we show in Arrow with Oliver was a mayor. Yeah, man, that whole arc was so interesting, right?
That was great. That was good. Like he has to progress in his career, right, Barry? Like you're in the same job for now 7 years. Like there should be some kind of upgrade, right? Then only you. That's how life works, right? Like you move up the ladder, or you move down, or something happens. But Barry has been like stuck there, like just and he's very happy with that. He's like, I'll just sit here. This is my life.
Yeah.
Well, for Flash, it doesn't seem possible because he is not being viewed as a vigilante but as a hero. There was an opposition to Arrow since he's a vigilante, especially in earlier seasons. Interesting. According to you, which is the best Marvel TV show? We'll come to Marvel later. Personally, it's Loki, okay? There's some theory that next season villain will be Cobalt Blue or Red Death. Let's talk about next season later. It will probably be all previous defeated species along with the Red Death. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about Josh was asking about the best episodes, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious, man.
I think Speed of Thought will be among the top. I think I felt it was about Barry finally.
Yeah.
I can tell you my worst. I don't know. I can tell you my best or not.
All right, worst is definitely the end of the Forces, the arc at the end. Man, I could barely get through those. It was bro and sis every sentence, I swear. And then like the Fuerza model looked terrible. When they went into the Speed Force, it looked terrible. The plot was just they just end up in like a heaven house or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
have you seen Ben 10?
Yeah, briefly, like a long time ago.
I think it was the initial seasons. Like whenever there was this alien, he used to like the tall one, I guess, the tallest alien.
Yeah.
Like he's the most powerful one. And whenever he used to go for that, he used to talk to these two cosmic beings, and they are always fighting, and he used to convince them. I always thought Speed Force as that Speed Force is a cosmic being who has been around forever, like And first of all, they ruined the actress for me. I used to love whenever she used to pop up, and now I just hate that. I remember that black, eyelashes and that black. Oh my god, that goth look. Oh. That was so bad.
Because you completely undercut Barry's mom's death if Barry's mom's hanging out with him every episode. I know it's not Barry's mom, but like,
totally agree.
It's kind of like Wells, how they kept him around. They kind of undercut a lot of the Wells stuff they did previously. The same thing with his mom. It's like she's a cosmic being who could be literally anyone. I don't know why she's choosing to take this form every time. Yeah. Especially when it's not the same Speed Force from the earlier seasons.
Agreed.
And that whole arc didn't make no sense. That the whole ending that she is like, oh, I was so alone. Now I have 4 people. Like, wait a minute. Before all of this, you were always alone, and now you only said, no, I want to kill everyone because I am the only one. Like, and then you're like, no, I'll be alone, and it was so bullshit.
It felt like they just wanted to use this code. Like they were like, we have many isolated shots, like with no people in, and we
they were pushing, forcing that thing, right? Yeah, that
it was rough. But it's a great season. Everything went according to plan.
Really, oh my god!
Really I think my favorite episode was the Allegra one.
I'm kicking you out of this.
Oh man, that was bad, dude. I have so many bad episodes. I just say like, okay.
I think I like that Cisco and Chester traveling back. I think that was a little emotional.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I think that would probably be my favorite one because that was the only episode where. That and the Power of Thought, I think those two, like Power of Thought, even though it was a little inconsistent towards the end, at least I like the fact that we saw that facet of Barry, and I think overall I like that Chester thing, and even the finale had some good moments which I kind of like. I like that interaction between Godspeed and Barry in the starting of the episode, where that interaction was kind of cool, and like at least they did some cool stuff with Impulse and stuff like that. So I liked all those stuff which they introduced towards the back end of the season, and that's it. That's it. Like full stop.
Yeah, everything for me was my favorite too. It's the only episode where I'm like, yeah, okay, that was competent. You actually made a decent enough episode. Every other episode was just kind of like, even the Chester Cisco episode's okay. It's not fantastic.
Yeah.
True.
I think comparatively,
Comparatively, it's like amazing. Man, I didn't even know, but I think the Godspeed stuff was a lot. Even though it was kind of off with the whole plotline of it, I think it was leagues better than whatever we got with the Forces. I think the Forces brought this season down to possibly being the worst season.
Yeah. And I heard that even in the comics, the story was not so great to adapt in a TV show.
Yeah.
So that made no sense to me.
I think if it was just the Godspeed stuff, I know obviously you'd have to have more episodes, but if just the Godspeed stuff in like the first 3 episodes, we wouldn't be considering this the worst season. It'd probably be like
definitely.
Season 6, maybe above season 4 and 5, I'd imagine.
Especially if they're adapted it like in the comics, make a few changes, but like in the comics, at least from what I know and from what I read, he's like Godspeed is a speedster, but he has more grounded motivations. It's not like he just wants to steal speed. He wants to steal speed to become the best speedster, so that he feels like he can become the better hero than what Flash is. He feels like, and he also has a personal tragedy. He also lost his brother, and he also works in the police social valley. So there is all those personal connections that you could have brought in, and you could have built that up throughout seasons. Like basically, I think if I remember correctly, Flash and Augusta, they even team up in the starting. He's like his sidekick kind of a thing, and they actually take down villains together. So that could have been a great arc. Like you could have built that up, you could have built that friendship up, and then turn into that sort of the thing towards the end. But they had to ruin all that up, and
I remember people talking about, man, let's just get over with this. We need Godspeed, the show will become better. And like we need Impulse, the show will become better. And I'm like, that they wasted that also.
Godspeed looks fantastic, and they're like, oh, he looks cool. He's a cool speedster. It will be good. They made a big mistake making him a future villain instead of like a present. Because Barry doesn't really have that many connections to him. It's his kid's villain, he even says in the episode. So you can't really make a compelling main antagonist out of a villain that's not really part of your rogues gallery.
I remember making a video like
lock him up in the end, right? He's like locked up in the end, like it's done.
And they wiped his memory that he knows who Barry is, right?
Which thankfully was not done.
That was the thing. I was like, so why does Fawn still know who Barry is?
One of my
that's future us's problem.
Nice callback. I remember, I think season 2 episode 11 is where Reverse Flash returns, and it's a Reverse Flash who doesn't know, he doesn't committed all those things. He didn't get stuck yet, and Barry, like I think Wells has to tell Barry that you have to let him go. It's not that yet. You have to let the time. And I was like so fascinated. Oh my God, he knows this guy future will kill his mother. He'll raise him for like so many years and betray him and kill Eddie. And he knows all of that and still has to follow this because they have to keep the time intact. And now there's no stakes to anything, as you said in the beginning, right, that the kids can come back, nothing will change, there's no time issue, okay, I'll take care of it, like they don't care at all right now.
I agree.
Reverse Flash just feels like, hey, we need something to really hook the people in, let's bring back everyone's favorite villain, because they did fascinating work with him in season 1. Obviously season 2 had that one episode where he comes back in time, and it's really compelling. Season 3 had Flashpoint with him, which I also thought was really cool. You talk about the cage scene that gives you chills. It does. And then when you get to like season 4, they're just bringing him in for big events. They're bringing him for Earth X. Season 5, they bring him in to tie him into the Nora thing. Season 6, I think he's just in that Nash Wells episode, if I don't remember. Right?
Yeah, I think the 2 episodes where first Nash starts to see him, and then there's the whole scene in the cave and all, like.
Yeah, the Reverse Flash is overstayed his welcome, and I don't even know how they would even do a final season with him as the villain right at this point. I know that's what everyone wants to see, but like, could we actually get that and done properly, or do we even want to risk it?
Like a lot of people said that we even haven't discovered his backstory. Like there's a very fascinating backstory he has.
Right? Like
I am someone like artistically I would like not to know his backstory, like a Joker from Heath Ledger. I don't want to really know how it all began, but he's the mad guy. He was so obsessed with Flash and how it became. But even for Godspeed, we could have, instead of the filler episode, we could have gotten a backstory for Godspeed. And Josh, I don't know if you noticed, but there are some dialogues he's saying some other language, right, in the finale.
Language,
Godspeed,
right?
Godspeed.
Like
What
This
to
about
his
finale,
army, to his
Yeah.
clones.
like there are, I think, 2 scenes where he's talking in some other language and there's subtitles available for it.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's like he is actually speaking in my native language, which is an Indian language, out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, because the actor is Indian origin, and I think that's why they just told him, okay, let's we'll add more representation, so say these it
Right.
made no sense.
Yeah, I was very confused. Godspeed was all over the place. He had like several different voices, but I think I lost it when he said like "Come to daddy, my children" to his clothes.
That sounds
I'm like,
more
bro,
cringy in the language.
Yeah, we're done. We're after that. It's just lightsaber fights, duel the fates.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought Godspeed would be that compelling of a villain because I thought he's just like another cool look. It's like a Savitar to me. Like he's cool looking, but
Yeah.
not that interesting. That's what it ended up being. But everyone was like hyping it up. The Flash family's gonna be so good. Godspeed's gonna be so good. I'm like, no.
Also,
We're
his
not at that
suit, it doesn't work, man. It's like, whenever I can see that it's a costume, the seams are not really
Yeah.
well done, or it's like he's wearing a mask, it just throws me
Mhm.
off. Yeah, and especially like the actor is not built up, so the costume doesn't really fit him well. I think they could have used a body double, or till now they were using people, right, stunt people, so they could have used him and just have him voice over, but they had to put him in the costume, and he doesn't fit in that, so
They
it
did that
just
with
throws
Zoom,
me off.
right? With Zoom, like whenever the mask was put, he was like very bulky, but
Yeah.
when the mask removes, he was like skinny.
Yeah, because they wanted to do the Teddy Sears twist.
Yeah,
He doesn't have like the same build, so they
Mhm.
just kind of
True.
did it differently, and then it ended up being like that.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just,
it's crazy to see Reverse Flash wear his leather suit whenever he comes back. I'm like, what? I forgot we used to wear those because now they're all these like skin tight, awkwardly placed suits. Even though I like Barry's suit, I think it
Yeah,
works.
I think season 5 is
I-
my favorite suit. Yeah,
yeah.
not season 5, season 7.
See, not season
Yeah.
5.
That without chin, oh my god.
Mhm.
That
But I
chin
think
strap,
what
man.
George said was a very interesting point about Reverse Flash. Like they brought him for all the big events and everything except Crisis. Like
Right,
that
the
still
one where he's
makes-
supposed to be.
Oh, that just why not Crisis, man? Like you're having him for everything else. Just bring him for the main thing that he was supposed to come. He even says "See you in Crisis" in the end of season 5. I was so
Oh
hyped.
yeah. See you at our next crisis. That doesn't show up.
I was thinking, maybe they can something happen in the future that Barry again went missing, and that crisis is still gonna happen. Just to bring that stakes back, but I don't know, man. So I think the next question is, what do you think? Is there any saving grace left, or do you think season 8 should end the show?
There's always ways for shows to improve. I thought Legends was done after season 4. Season 4 was terrible of Legends. And like we've gotten too far off the parody route. And then season 5 was a little
Is
better.
season 4 where
It was the unicorns and the alien or Neuron and like magic stuff. It's where they really doubled down on magic. Kind of like how Arrow fell apart when it focused on Damien Dark.
the finale had this big Bebo fight
no,
the
that's season
alien?
3. That was season
That was
3.
season
Season 4 was like a Funland thing.
Oh yeah, that dragons and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his father,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, got it.
Point is, didn't work very well. Wasn't a great thing. But season 5 was a little better. Season 6 is getting better. They're doing season 7, and I'm really liking Legends again. I feel like it's almost getting back to where they were. So there's
Yeah.
always a way for Flash to improve. They just
Yeah.
need to acknowledge that, hey, this isn't working. We need to reconfigure. I don't think they will. I think they like what they're doing for some reason. I think the only way they can really do it is just write an Arrow final season, like how season 8 did.
Yeah.
If you just keep going with an undisclosed thing, just waiting for cancellation, it's just gonna never end right because they have to keep making up villains and storylines for Barry to continue. He's been doing it for 7 years. They just need to write it off. Black
Yeah.
Lightning kind of struggled with its ending because they didn't really know how to end it. And I think Supergirl, I don't know how that's gonna end, but I think they really just need to acknowledge it's a final season and do that. So hopefully Grant does it. and pulls the plug, or Candace, because I feel like if you continue the show without Iris, that's really odd to me. But they did
considering how much they are, making them together being part of the show. Yeah,
that's probably what Eric Wallace meant by the marriage will really struggle. She's not even in the season.
She's not replying him on the phone. Not
They couldn't have Candace record some voiceover lines for the phone conversation. Like, man, I'm a somewhat fan of Iris, so I don't know how much pull she has on the show, but I signed up for season 8, so we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting. I could see them going 10 seasons the Smallville way. I could see them not doing it. I think it pulls down the rest of the Arrowverse and kind of gives it a bad name. But I'm curious to see where it goes. I'll still be watching, whether I like it or not, because I'm legally required to for at DCTV Center on Instagram. Gonna get the quick plug.
Guys, check it out. Link in description.
Yeah.
And
no, but I do agree with what Josh is saying. Like, do a final hurrah, like do a final season, and do everything that you want to do. Like, explore everything. Like, if you want it to be a 23 episode season where you want to do everything you want to do, just do it.
But then the budget is the issue, right?
Like, I'm just see one thing about the CW writers I'll always applaud is the fact that they've always found ways around budget, but while still doing ambitious storytelling. Like, they've always found ways. Like season 1, season 2, all of those were pretty ambitious stuff, but they still managed to find a way. So, like, if you even want to make it a little bit grounded, maybe don't have so many flashy fights, but still, I think you can still explore. Like, if you want to explore Reverse Flash's past, do that. Explore the backstory. Explore Impulse and their backstories and stuff. Do everything that you want to do, and do, like, if you want to do a final, like if you want to do a Crisis event again, because I think a lot of the shows are ending, right? Like Flash is ending, Supergirl is ending, Arrow has already ended, and then I think Black Lightning is already ended. I think
Black Lightning just ended a bit ago, and Supergirl did a big hiatus, but it's going to end this year.
So I mean, maybe like do a crossover in the end of the Flash season to bring all of them back, and if you want, you can even have Stephen Amell maybe guest or something, and market the end of this. And look, Superman and Lois is the new beginning of the new kind of.
I really don't want them to connect Superman and Lois to Arrowverse. That's the only reason. Because
but can be, the Superman and Lois can be the new beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like, this all happened. This is all the past, and now
the best thing is that anyone wants to get into Superman and Lois, they can. They don't have to watch anything else.
Yeah,
and that's one of the best part about the show.
People are gonna hate this about me saying the Flash, but the Flash needs to stop focusing on whatever big spectacle fight, whatever big villain. They need to focus on the character moments.
Yeah.
If that means that we're getting less fights next season, if it was like the final season, but we're getting these super good character moments and really compelling journeys, then so be it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Characters over story. Characters over whatever Flash fight scenes next.
I remember in season 1, that whole that great episode felt like a finale where Flash time travels for the first time, and that whole tidal wave and everything.
Yeah.
And the next episode is not really any, there's no big fight or anything. It's more about the drama now, about what happened. And I think even there was one more episode where I think the episode where there's a big fight right on Earth 2, and then they come back and Zoom kills Jay through the portal. And the next episode is they're just talking about what happened, and it's a simple episode. And after that, next episode is about them finding about Jay is only Zoom.
Well, even Superman and Lois right now, who's watching Superman and Lois and be like, oh, you can't miss it, all these cool fights. No one's talking about the Morgan Edge versus Superman fight.
Yeah,
we're talking about how good they're handling the characters, how good the family dynamics are, how good the John Henry Irons stuff was.
Yeah,
no one's talking about the fight scenes because that's not the point of the show.
Even
that's not what they're doing.
Even the Cushing family, right? Everything what they are going through is so interesting. The consequences of what Morgan Edge did, and it's not just the Superman won and he fly off and everything is hunky dory, right? No, people have to face the consequences, and
it's fantastic.
And it's the same showrunner of Flash season 5 writing Superman and Lois, right?
Yeah,
right.
Todd Welling. Yeah, it's.
I think the Flash just kind of got caught up in trying to one up itself and get bigger and do all these spectacles, but they're not getting the bigger budget. They're not getting the bigger views.
Yeah,
they just need to go back to their roots.
And I know this, people might not agree, but I feel like the VFX looked a lot better in season 1, 2, 3 than what they do right now. Like, in spite of all the big spectacle that they're trying.
Oh yeah, some of the run fight sequences this season. What was the one with Impulse where Impulse was running? I don't know. There was one Impulse was running, I think, in episode 150. It looks so terrible.
Yeah,
I'm like, what happened? We have great run scenes from season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
True. I agree.
Looking forward, like, do you think we should get a spin-off of Impulse on HBO Max, like a Superman Lois show?
No,
Yes,
I don't think he really is the leading man yet, but
Yeah.
give him some more time first, maybe. Based off this 2 episode, I wouldn't be like, yeah, greenlighted Jordan Fisher Impulse spinoff.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
if you're
mean-
going to develop him more as a character.
True. I agree with what Josh is saying. But even when Grant showed up in Arrow, like for those 2 episodes in season 2 of Arrow, like where they were like setting his character up, many people didn't have high hopes for like seeing what Grant was doing with the character.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, it's not like many people are like, let's wait and see how this goes. But after the Flash aired, he became a fan.
But I think the major issue is not the actor. I think the issue is like what story do you follow? Because if you go in future, then it's like the production goes high, the cost goes high. How to show the future? What do you establish?
I think I would like a spin-off, but after the Flash ends. Like if this is the final season and after that, so then I
Yeah.
think then they can just focus completely on Impulse and do a Superman Lois kind of show.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
change
do
the
not
timeline.
pull a Green Arrow and the Canaries situation
Oh, man.
where half
True,
of Arrow season 8 is setting up a
Oh, man.
spinoff that they wait a year to say, hey, we're not doing that. I was fine with them setting up a spinoff, but if you're not going to greenlight it, don't. Black Lightning did the same thing with Painkiller. I was so excited for the Painkiller thing. Didn't happen because it got no views.
Yeah.
Don't use your final season to set up a spinoff.
True.
Wait till the show's over.
Yeah.
Supergirl didn't use their season to set up Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Did. So that's the thing with the Impulse. But
Do you
it could be
think?
good.
Do you think, like, we're talking about Arrow, right? And how Stephen Amell was so vocal, and I think he's someone who's very active on social media and talking to people, his fans
Yeah,
and everyone. So, do you think him pushing the producers, writers, what worked for season 5, and maybe the cast of Flash are not really that? Maybe they don't have that authority, or they don't really are interested in pushing people. Okay, you can do better, and I owe to the fans or something like that. Because I don't see most of them on social media. Even if they are, I think Daniel Pennebaker does a lot, and Candice also does, but they always not talk much about Flash. And Daniel Pennebaker is always like, we are making again like Eric Wallace, right? And I think no actor would say, the show is nonsense. Then why would they do it, right? So
Like Stephen Amell in that podcast, The Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, I think he even said that like in season 4, there was a moment where a director like told him to do something which he felt was not at all in the spirit of Arrow. Like it felt it was not at all what Arrow was supposed to be. And he said to that like, no, we can't do this. And that was like, no, just try it once. Just do it once. So he had an opposition. And we don't know if Grant is opposing behind the scenes. Maybe the stories are not coming out, but I
would
think
love
maybe
a
there
behind-the-scenes
is a
documentary of a few years from now about the Flash behind the scenes, if there is drama. Yeah, the cast just doesn't seem like they care near
Yeah.
as much as the Arrow cast. Because Arrow had a long upward battle where the Flash is just kind of cruising by, and
True.
kind of seems like a lot of casts are just there for payday, to be honest.
yeah,
Definitely, man.
I do the same. thing.
Unfortunately. Except for Danielle, seems to love the show for some reason.
Oh man. So, see, I love. I am looking forward to season 8. Always going back with the hope, right? That they may improve it. They may watch this video and they're like, these guys making sense. We should listen to them. And again, I just want to say this. It's easy for us to sit here and just talk about this and that and all. But the truth of the matter is that yes, it's not working, and you may need to go back to your drawing board and work it again. Because like I think season 5 has the big 5 episodes crossover, right? It's an
Season
individual crossover, but season 8
Season 5.
But
They're doing a big
five,
5-episode crossover at the beginning of season 8.
yeah. So that excites me, but again I'm not sure, like this cannot continue. Like what we saw, this cannot continue. And if I think they continue, like fans like us have to take a stand of no, we are done then. I said the same thing 2 years back, so I don't know how will I stick to it. But
after Arrow season 4 ended, like there was a Reddit page I think that was about Arrow. They changed their name to Daredevil. like they changed because they were like so outraged by what season 4 was. So like there was a lot of movement like it. And now I don't know whether Flash if there's anything like that happening. Like have the fans like said stuff like this, but I hope they're taking note because I see a lot of negativity about the season. Like earlier, I used to think, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not enjoying the season, and others, and I used to be like,
the
okay,
Flash
fine,
was trending with that Star Wars thing. People who don't even watch the show, they're like, what is happening on that show?
Yeah. The Flash is bad when Real World of Flash changes the Unity. It's like that's the sign at the end. I do think I have to head out soon.
Yeah, sure. I think
we'll
wrap it up here.
But
yeah, I think
I have to wrap up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have to wrap up what I think about season 7. It's like this show is something that I love, and I still love it no matter what it does. It's like a child of mine. It can mess up and do whatever, but as long as it doesn't physically attack me, I'll be okay. It sucks to see where it's gotten. It sucks to just see that they don't seem to acknowledge where they've gotten, and I can't really blame a show that's 7 years in for being not great, but there's ways to improve, and there's a lot of fans out there that are telling me ways to improve, and even you can just tell that there's ways to improve, and they don't seem to be listening. So I don't know how long we all stick with the show. Old Yeller does need to be kicked out, but I still think there's ways to improve. I still think there's ways where this show can get back to where it was. It just needs work. And if this is the final season, then so be it, man.
Yeah.
It sucks to see where it's gone. But season 7 was something. It was definitely a show that I watched.
Yeah.
Would you say it's your worst season? Would you say it's the worst season compared to the other seasons?
Here's the thing. Even though I have a soft spot for season 5, because that's when I started the page, right?
Yeah.
So even though I acknowledge retroactively that season 5 is not great, I do have a soft spot for it. I don't love season 4. I think people give season 4 too much leeway nowadays just because we're so far removed from it. Season 4 was not good, guys. It was rough.
Yeah.
So, but this season probably was the worst. I think either this season or season 4 or 5. I couldn't really tell you right now, but just those other seasons at least had somewhat of a structure. This was all over the place, and the majority of it was the Forces arc, which is by far the worst set of episodes I've seen in the entire show. So take that as well. But the Godspeed stuff wasn't terrible, so that kind of redeemed it a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree to that. And man, Josh, thank you for joining us, and it was great time having you. And we would love to have you, maybe in future for Superman and Lois when it gets over. We'd love to talk about that show. And I'll definitely reach out to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, man. Thanks for your time. See ya.
See you guys. I'll be back in a flash.
Nice. All right. We'll just go through the chat once. I think there was some guys. Do check out Josh. The link for his channel and Insta page is in the description. So great content. Do check it out.
Yeah.
He follows all the
Great
DC
insights.
shows. Yeah, great insights.
Great insights,
Let's just go to the chat, and if there are any questions, guys, let us know all about Marvel, DC, whatever you want to ask. Did they ever establish August Hart as Indian? No, the actor is Indian. That's why I think that's the only reason.
I don't think he's Indian in the comics. I think he's
he's not
Latino. I think, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong.
They could have, we talked about it, right? They could have established him as an Indian and with his family and what he's going through, there's so much things you can explore as an Indian kid, right?
Sure.
But whatever.
See, you have this character August Hart. Everyone knows his name, right? So you can't introduce a character like what they did in season 1 of The Flash. You couldn't introduce Ebert Thawne as a character because everyone that's Reverse Flash. So they introduced Eddie Thawne and they tried to mess with our heads. They could have done something like that with August Hart. Introduce someone else, maybe an Indian, so as a friend of Barry, and so that would throw people off, right? People wouldn't be like, oh, that's Godspeed. But then you build that character up, and then you can pull something up. You remember that excitement we felt in season 1 or even in season 2 when we were like, oh shit, he is Zoom. Dude, I miss that, man. I miss that feeling of, oh man, shit. Even season 3 had a little bit of that. Even though they stretched that out a lot, still it had that element.
Godspeed speaking in Hindi without context, Lamao. I think they should just end season with season 8. Sana Zehra says, Vikas says Grand Guardian is also looking for an exit, so probably season 8 season will be last. Let's see, man. We never know.
Hopefully.
Superman and Lois work. See, I would see in a hope. I would say, please, man, the show should continue. I want to watch 2 great seasons. You know, I want to great amazing seasons till season 10, and then they end it. You know, instead
Or
of
even more,
just
like
ending
how
it and
Eric
all.
Wallace is saying.
Like, but you know, the practical truth is that it's not great. You know, and whatever we can say, we can be optimistic, but I don't see it. You know, the way them talking about it. You know, everything that's happening, and the way the director the showrunner is saying, "Oh, it's amazing. We enjoyed, and everything went to plan." And like, if this is your plan, I'm sorry.
True.
So.
Even the way it's shot right now, like, do you feel that difference, like the way it's shot? And
it is so uncreative, you know. It is so mundane. Same thing over and over and over and over again. So
like in Arrow, right? I keep drawing because I think Arrow is the best comparison in many ways, because Super and Lucy can compare because of the high budget production, and it's been less than a season, right? So you can't really compare. But with Arrow, like, they brought in James Bamford, and he really got the action scene. Like, he was a stunt coordinator, and then he started directing a few episodes, and he really got the action to like revamp, because season 4's action was nonsense. Like, he did one episode in season 4 where they added a lot of single shot action scenes, and then people were like, give us more of this. So season 5, he sort of like took over, and they got some great single shot action sequences. You know, I think in season 6, when he had Deathstroke, they had this great like one shot with Deathstroke.
I think they had a whole 2-episode backstory of Deathstroke, right?
With Deathstroke, yeah, you had that, and even season 7.
And that's how you do filler.
That's how you do filler, exactly. You know, it didn't feel like filler. You know, it felt like, oh, now we're getting into Deathstroke. That's great. And see, even season 8, look at the finale of Arrow. Look at that fight sequence.
Season 8 is, I think, class apart, because first of all, 10 episodes. We are ending. True. We know what's the end goal, what we are trying to do in each episode. It's like a legacy. And I think that's not even comparable.
I remember that last fight sequence which they did in season 8, like, you know, they did the whole hood action
scene. It's like a flashback.
They did everything they wanted to do in that sequence. You know, like, you had Arrow doing everything, using most of its like gadgets and stuff. And dude, I wish they do something like, instead of coming out with this campy powers, do something a little more exciting with these powers. I mean, you have such fantastic power sets, and you were doing that in the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Then it just stopped. So.
Grant is looking okay. Superman and Lois works because it's not just another superhero spectacle, but about family and its burden takes on human side, definitely. Because
totally agree.
Ayush says, after the discussion of Flash is over, please like to know your possibility of anime. Ayush, we are doing anime next week. First we'll release a video. We'll do a live session also next week about an anime. Let us know, should we do Death Note first or Naruto, or you know, which one should we take first? Definitely, I'm waiting for Attack on Titans to end, and then we can do Attack on Titans also. Or maybe we'll do first 3 seasons. So that's one of my favorite. But definitely, we are going to do anime, more anime on the channel.
It's gone off. I'm not gone into anime yet, but hopefully I'll get into it.
We'll make him. Flash I think we should start Death Note, and you should finish Death Note by this weekend. It's just 36 episodes. It's just 36 episodes on 20 minutes each on Netflix. Okay, so I think it's easy for you.
I'll try.
Flash just needs a good dark speedster. I don't think speedster is important, but I think any villain who challenges him, not just you know with power set, but even you know his mindset, you know his like ideals. Yeah, you should challenge him. I think Godspeed could have done that. Even you know, Bloodwork worked. You know, Bloodwork was good. True. And you know, I'm hoping, because even Bloodwork actor is Indian origin. Maybe the Bloodwork and Godspeed come together. I know, like that's like very making Indians villains, but you know they could have make a backstory and like do a first arc about that.
I'll tell you what happened. Bloodwork will speak in Hindi, Godspeed will speak in Punjabi, and they won't know the difference. They'll just
Bloodwork actor is from South, so maybe Tamil. He'll speak in Tamil.
It'll be some South Indian language, and they won't know the difference.
Yeah.
The showrunners, they'll just give common subtitles.
Dude, we didn't even talk about that scene, man. I need to ask Josh about that right now, next Tuesday, 2 minutes. That was... I think that was such a small thing that there's bigger issues than that.
I gave the benefit of the doubt to the episode. I was like, okay, maybe they're building towards something.
Yeah.
But no.
But anyways. Yes, I should do anime. Okay. Yeah, but with different motives at least. Yes, we need different motives. We need challenge. We have to get rid of this, good versus evil thing. It's
And just
outdated.
wanting to get
It's
speed.
outdone.
Yeah.
It's not. It cannot be just about that. It has to be now come into gray area. And good writing, which is very unlikely to happen. I think Sana just said everything there. But I think that's what all of the things I need to say. Anything else?
You need to go through the other comments. Last.
Yeah, if we can go through that.
Yeah.
Just anything we haven't discussed yet, we'll take that.
Someone asked about the best Marvel show or something. Right?
Best Marvel show. I think Loki is, but I think you watched Loki, right, Manoj?
Yeah.
After the aftertaste of the show is not that great because I was showing it to my parents, right, and they actually I watched all the episodes with them except the finale. I was actually doing the Loki live session, and they were watching the finale, and I went out and they're like, "What nonsense was that?" And I was like, "Yes, I agree. I knew you would not like it because there are many factors, and I think this is one issue I have with the TV shows that if I didn't know that the actor is cast as Kang, that scene would have been very anticlimactic because I didn't know much about Kang because if that actor hadn't been casted, maybe there wouldn't have been so many theories about Kang is the main guy because it was so much, and maybe it was, and I would have heard about Kang, what he is and all, but before only I knew, and I knew the actor also, and the actor has said that I don't know what you're talking about, I'm not in Loki and all of that, and then he shows up, right? So I'm excited because of my external knowledge. If I'm watching or someone is watching the show, right? Can you hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't know he was Kang. So I just watched. Oh, what happened?
Am I there?
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Okay. So I didn't know he was actually the villain.
Yeah.
So for me, I watched it like I knew about Kang. Like I knew there were some murmurings about Kang and stuff like that. So I just see my Marvel knowledge is pretty not as much. I don't know like DC. I kind of know. Is there any issue?
No, you continue. Something up with Google Meet. I don't know what.
Okay. With DC, I kind of know the characters and stuff. With Marvel, I'm like so a lot of the MCU. So I'm experiencing it for the first time, the characters and stuff. I still liked it. It was a little anticlimactic, maybe, but for me, it was more about Loki's character that I really liked. Like I like that shift in tone. I like the fact that he didn't want to be that hero anymore. Like not a hero, but that he just didn't want to go there and become. He was actually for once thinking practically, which I liked.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree with your point to a certain extent.
But yeah, that's the point, right? That it becomes like suddenly when you connect with everything, the whole MCU now. As a fan of MCU and who knows everything, follows everything, I'm like, oh great. But when I look at it as a show, right? Okay, this is not working. This is not great writing because you are, it's not about this story anymore. It's about your future plans. So it takes away from the last episode. But one thing I really enjoyed was, each episode is about Loki. The Loki characteristic which we break down in episode 1, and who is a Loki, what is a Loki. Loki always betrays. That whole ending fight is about you cannot trust anyone and I cannot be trusted. So bringing it back again and again, that was really interesting and well done.
Sure.
I think
for the
it was shot very well. Yeah.
The highlight of, I didn't really care much about the future stuff. I am excited. I know they're selling the multiverse and everything, but I'm like a layman's fan when it comes to MCU. So maybe Spider-Man stuff again, no, but when the main timeline, for me, I'm just fascinated with the character stuff. So I have noticed that even WandaVision, I was more focused on Wanda. So many people are throwing all these theories. I'm I don't really care about Mephisto or anything like that. So I found myself enjoying the shows more because I'm not that knowledgeable about the future and what's going to happen. I'm just focusing on.
I think every finale kind of lost me. Each show, the finale didn't work for me. Even Loki, it works mostly. I think overall, Loki is one of the best shows among the MCU shows. I think someone said about best show is Daredevil.
Yes, agreed.
So season one. I think I would rank season 2 Punisher arc first, then season 1, then season 3, and then season 2 the second half. That's my ranking of Daredevil.
For me, For me, it's very simple. There's no arc. Like I think season 1 and season 3 are absolutely spectacular for me. Daredevil and season 2 a little bit low because I was not a huge fan of the Electro stuff and all, but overall still I think probably one of the, because there are only 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I think overall it's still probably one of the best superhero
But
shows.
we may get him in MCU, man. Did you heard about the news
I
that
hope,
the
man.
guy who played Kingpin,
Yeah,
we may see in Hawkeye TV show
dude,
as
that'd be
Kingpin.
amazing.
Dude, I think Daredevil
That'd be
got the
amazing.
casting so good that it'll be a criminal act to not bring them in.
Man, like, I heard that Kevin Feige actually likes the show, so I hope he does something because you
Definitely
can do
they'll
it. It's okay.
like change it a bit, but
yeah, you know, it's the multiverse, right? You can, and for like, you can introduce him in such a way that the Netflix viewers, they know like who his backstory is, and then you can just develop it a little bit for the movie audiences. You know, like just throw a bit of lines. And
you know,
like, there was
go ahead.
No, there were rumors that he would show up in Spider-Man as the lawyer. I would love that. Like, I'm more excited for that than the multiverse. Like, I'm excited for the multiverse stuff, but still, man, I really want to see that all back.
Yeah. But I was saying that in the shows, right? That's one of the thing MCU got right, is that everyone watching their movies is on the same page. If you're too much invested, you'll you know, read comics or watch the videos and, you know, get all inducted with all the knowledge. But if you're not still, you know, like my parents, for example, you know, they have seen the show and they understand the movies. The show now it's in Hindi, so it's helpful for them. But I think WandaVision is still not in Hindi available, so I don't know what to do with that. But anyways, I think shows are still more comic book, you know, heavy, and it's all right. But hopefully in the movies they are still, you know, like doing well. Like they
it's
don't need.
It's a fine balancing act.
Hopefully they don't miss out that, because they're now building this multiverse. Now I'm worried because of that. I'm worried because Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. I'm worried because
I think they will find a way to put some exposition that's not very heavy-handed, to the point where people can understand. Like there'll be probably one character that doesn't understand what's happening, and you know they'll be explaining to that character like in like just few sentences, like
you know, dude, they in Endgame they redeemed Thor 2. Like not redeemed, like people don't need to watch Thor 2, but Thor 2 has become such an important film in MCU right now with Thor and everything. So they did that, you know, so they can do anything.
Wrestlers have that quality. Like even I think Winter Soldier made the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first season good. Like because it was like building towards the Hydra whole thing, and
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, you know, even MCU doesn't give a you know shit about them, that they made a show. Like so I also didn't give a shit about them. So I never watched that.
It was very disconnected. Like the leadership was also disconnected in Marvel. Like there was Kevin Feige and there was someone else, I forgot, Ike Perlmutter or something.
Yeah,
like
it was ABC.
So
was yeah.
So I just want to say, in terms of, obviously Daredevil is probably my favorite Marvel show, but in terms of just these three, for me, I think Loki, then WandaVision, and then Falcon. That's probably my ranking.
And I think all three got affected by COVID, but Loki, because Loki is so self-contained in this other dimension altogether, it doesn't affect them well that much. But okay.
I wonder if they shoot with the Mandalorian thing. I don't think so, right?
I think some scenes they shot, but not mostly it's green screen. Wait, a lot of chats. Loki is really good, and in a sense it has the most repercussions, so I took that. Jonathan Major was awesome. Yes, I agree. It threw me off first. His energy was not similar to Kang the Conqueror, but when I understood that he's not playing Kang, it's a variant of... See, again, you know it's a Kang, right? You know about Kang, so it's fascinating for you. But people who don't know about these things, like, what's happening? Who's this guy?
I was still fascinated because I was like, man, this is not what I expected. You know, like this thing. So anyway, again, I didn't know who that was, like who the character.
But you are someone who still knows, right, about the stuff. So
kind of.
Do you think there will be more Kramer in the next? They already said the showrunner already said we'll see her in the initial time. How will she use her powers? Man, that whole arc never, you know, it doesn't make sense. Still, I don't no idea what they're doing with that. I heard rumors that Charlie Cox will be back. Yes, we also heard. Hopefully, there's a script leak, so it's not certain, but there are rumors. Have you guys watched Lucifer? I've seen first season, I guess. It was okay.
I've seen a few episodes. It was fun. Like
I think when it came on Netflix, it became better. I've heard that it's become much fun, but not something I'm looking forward to.
The actor is very charismatic.
Yeah, we saw him in the Crisis, right?
Yeah, Crisis. Yeah, that was the best part of the Crisis. They managed to bring everyone in a small way. That was great.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up now. Thank you all, everyone. Oh, sorry.
The previous.
Is there anything we haven't covered already in the session? Then we'll take
I'll just
it.
go. I'll just
Otherwise,
go through it very quickly. And so there's this guy called Nona Prince who was asking why was Godspeed talking in Punjabi. So
still have no answer for that.
so there is Matthew Matthews that just said this episode was really cool. Kind of agree compared to the rest of the season. Then there was someone, Superman Carlisle just kept giving timestamps in the comments. I guess probably spam, but we appreciate the comments. Probably helps in getting.
No, I saw him in on the other channel also. He's putting timestamps there. So
Okay. Then that's good. Gerard Weiss says the swords are from the comics.
yeah.
So even I saw that in Twitter, like after the episode, like and it's okay. Like when Godspeed summoned the sword, it looked cool. But then when Barry and they were just
I think people talking about. I think Akasan said this, that if Barry could have made instead of a sword, maybe he's used his power to make a shield kind of a thing.
Oh, man,
and the
that
first
would be
Flash already has his hands, right, vibrating hands.
True.
So yeah.
And it shouldn't have gone.
It lacked
that long.
innovation basically.
Dude,
They just
it should have just been
went for
one.
the spectacle. I think what Josh was saying, right? They again went for spectacle. Oh, it will look cool like Star Wars. Let's do it. Yeah.
No, and it should have just been one. Like Godspeed summons it, and maybe he just does one, and they do one, and then done. Like they just kept on going. Okay, we really need to give a big shout out to Dalton Brennan, who commented a lot of comments throughout the video.
And his whole objective was to increase the like what do you say?
Ranking, you could say.
No, the engagement of the video, and thank you, man, thank you.
And he had so many good points, and I'll just
mostly I replied to him, but you can take some.
Okay, I'll just speak about the iris having speed, because that's something which we didn't really touch upon in this discussion. So Dalton Brandon says that I'm okay with Iris having speed as long as she's pregnant, considering that she might not be accessing the speed force herself, but accessing through a cursed fetus that's connected to the speed force. Although I'm not okay with her going out and risking the life of her kid that hasn't even been born yet. So that's a very interesting thought that I don't think the showrunners probably thought of. Like
I told him, man, there's too much science. They don't give that much logic to anything.
But that's an interesting point of view. To me, I don't really like it when the like, okay, it might work when the how do I say, like Super Lois Lane, like if she got powers of Superman, like I don't know how I would feel, because for me she's kind of a hero in her own sense without the powers. So that's kind of the way how I see Iris, even though they've not written her in that way. I think they're not really earned her newspaper reporting career or her journalism career or even the Flash stuff, so that's the main problem I have. So because you're not, like, even that episode where she got the powers, I think the villain was so campy that it just ruined the whole episode.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But again, like, that's a whole other thing. But let's hope that they do something better in the future, like few seasons with Iris. So anyway, thanks a lot again, Dalton, for all the comments. Then we have a comment from Lord Touch Me, who says, the stupidest Flash episode ever. I cry as a Flash fan. I had hoped to, but I finally leaned the series too. So much wasted potential. And then he says about Godspeed having an army which caused the war, and he only observed 6 clones. What the fuck? Besides, lame that even can't control his clones because some wanted to kill him. It was shown that Godspeed is faster than the Flash, and Flash is faster than Reverse Flash. So out of the 3, Reverse Flash is the slowest, and the slowest beats the fastest.
Man, there was no logic in all of that.
He also talks about Godspeed being built up from season 6, from season 5. Like they hadn't been Nora's villain, right? And then and one complete season of building Godspeed up, only for 2 Star Wars battles in the final episode. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we totally understand what you're saying in the comment. Then Blue Dragon 007 says, man said we really only saw the real Godspeed for 15 minutes in the whole season in action, and you kill him off like this. 5 seasons of Godspeed.
He's not dead.
Yeah. Then House of Heroes says the lighting's what happened in the comics. Also, that's why you never take your eyes off Thorn for 1 second, because he'll sneak behind you and kill you. Also, the reason Thorn had Barry was because Thorn wouldn't let someone else kill Barry unless it was him.
See, that was the forced narrative they were trying, right? So
yeah, that was look, the concept of Barry and Reverse Flash teaming up is great, because they're like mortal enemies, and it's kind of like when Stephen Amell, like Oliver and Malcolm Merlin teamed up in season 5 Ascent, like that, or even when Deathstroke teams up. It's always fascinating when your hero and villain
Like you have
has
to earn
team
it,
up.
right? You have to earn it.
But you have
Yeah.
to earn it. You have to earn it. You have to build that up. You have to make it to a point where it's like, oh, even Godspeed is against Reverse Flash. Like, not this whole, okay, I can't allow him to kill you and all nonsense. Like, they don't even explain. Like, they, considering they wasted 3 episodes in the middle, they could have explained. And they had Tom Cavanaugh, right? They like had him, so you could have explored.
No.
Like, at least in the first few episodes, they had it.
He became, for season 7, he was already a series, guest appearance on, not a series regular anymore.
Yeah, but they used him as that whole. There was
See,
a
I think
time travel
the
episode.
casting and everything, even for Iris, right? They couldn't have her voice recorded. But the thing is, according to the contracts and everything, even if they use her voice, they have to pay her the whole fees. So
But that would already be budgeted, right? Because she was supposed to appear in the show, right?
no, but
So-
it's like why should we pay her just for 2 dialogues, right? Like when we can do this something else on it.
But then at least shift that dialogue to Cecilia.
That's why in Crisis last episode, when everything ends, we don't even see Iris. Barry comes to Salabs and there's just Caitlin because they had to pay her because for Killer Frost.
I think that is true, because I think Mark Guggenheim also said that the Stephen Amell voiceover in the end, they had to like fight for that. Like it was not
like there's a
allowed,
lot of contractual
which I agree. Like,
things
I
which
totally understand.
doesn't really work for them when they're what they're doing, and as you said, right, I appreciate that what they have done with all these limitations. But you cannot, that doesn't, when you look at what's happening around now, right?
Yeah.
That's not enough. You have to either change it, stop it, or do something, but you cannot go ahead with this, right, anymore.
It's disappointing because if you look at season 1, season 2, they did a much better job. And I understand COVID is understand there are a lot of restrictions, but like, if they had done a Bloodwork kind of villain, maybe they wouldn't have to invest so much on the sets, because I think when Bloodwork was the villain, they didn't have so much spectacle because they didn't need to do speedster battles, right? It was much more contained. So they could have leaned in more on his investigation stuff. We could have seen, I would love to see an episode where Barry is just an investigator. Like, remember that one episode we had with Oliver was just the mayor and he had to solve the gun control issue and stuff like that. That episode wasn't great, but just seeing that one dimension of Oliver where he's like, I can't use my Green Arrow abilities here. I need to be at the mayor. Something like that. It just adds to the character so much more. And I just hope they recognize that, a character has to have all these dimensions, not just one single flowing, just being the superhero of the Flash. That doesn't work.
Yeah. I think Sana says if you are watching Flash and want logic, you are asking for too much. These days, I just enjoy the colors and all, like I did when I watched Power Rangers.
I feel like Power Rangers was better.
Yeah, that's the that's the threshold now.
Like, at least those explosions and those fights, you're like, stuntmen are doing that. They're doing all those hoops. So you're like, something you can appreciate. In this, you just have Godspeed's like just punching up a car, like.
Yeah. But I think, man, I think that's it from us. I think let's wait for season 8, October.
Yeah.
It's not, 2-3 months
close.
more.
The first 5 episodes, that's our, like, I think that's the threshold.
If
right?
they can, hold us for those first 5 episodes, okay, but then we'll stop if they don't, if they're unable to do it.
So, it's 5 episodes. I'm interested because.
So it's not
which are
continuous.
shows-
It's not a continuous story. It's like
So which are
one every episode. So it's not just the shows. It's about, I think, characters. So we may have one episode with the Black Lightning actor. We may have maybe with Batwoman. We may have with Legends. One with Superman Lois. Maybe.
I think Legends and
I think it's mostly about characters. Maybe Diggle comes back. That's also crossover. So.
No, I think Legends and Batwoman is kind of given because those are the 2 current running shows. Like who are not like.
But I'm not sure if they can, because there'll be conflicts, right? Scheduling conflicts. So maybe they are unable to do that.
But, you see, Legends has a long cast, right? So they might send 2 or 3 the cast members.
I think Legends has already started shooting next season, Like they finished this season, took a 2 weeks break and started the next season again.
See, it worries the 5 episode arc worries me because Eric Wallace said that he wrote it while he was writing season 7. Like, so I'm actually worried.
Oh man, if he's watching, sir, yeah, sorry, not trying to,
See, we
make
loved
fun
what we
of
did
you,
with
but
Bloodborne.
sir, what
Yeah.
it is, what it is. It's criticism.
And we want to upload you where you got things right. Bloodwork was amazing. Like that first, like the whole way you use Crisis to set that sort of evil foes up, not evil foes, to set that antagonistic thing up and everything. That was amazing. We want more of that. Hopefully, you can. Give
Hi,
us more of that.
Jasraj. Welcome. We're almost done, by the way, but yeah, anyway, you can watch the
Yeah,
replay. But yeah, guys, I think let's wrap up. Thank you for joining. It's almost went for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And do check out Josh, guys. The link in the description if you haven't. Check out his Insta page and YouTube page. And yes, looking forward to more content coming next week. I don't know if I can say anything, but definitely anime content is coming out. Gaming content is coming out more.
Shaky because
I think
Flash
next 2 weeks
Winter
because
and-
Superman Lewis is on break, so I don't know their reactions anymore. But I think What If and Superman Lewis again come on back same time. I don't know why, but
Oh.
and anyways,
Wednesday.
looking, I think only 2 episodes left again, and we'll be doing. I
Yeah.
think we are in talks with more people to come for discussion on Superman Lewis. I think that deserves a discussion.
Yeah.
That should deserves it. But guys, thank you again. Sticking around. Do like, share, subscribe if you're watching the replay. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about the whole thing. I did a poll, which is like rate season 7 of the Flash. So bad won by 56%, average was 34%, and good was 8%. Total 23 votes. जसराज सर प्लीज एक रिक्वेस्ट है अभी के लिए लोकी और वांडा विजन का लास्ट एपिसोड 10 सेकंड तक yeah, Jasraj, we all saw that, I think, but that's too much. That's like just a coincidence. There's nothing more to it.
Oh yeah.
And
the
even if it
connection-
is,
yeah.
it just matches the same thing. Even it is great, man. It's like, okay, it's not something such a big deal for me, at least. But anyways, thank you again, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Keep geeking out.
Bye.